On this video on writing, we're going to talk about choosing a good topic. And some of the content that we're going to cover in choosing a good topic is the first one where we talk about what's called the rhetorical process. And it sounds like a big word, but rhetorical means simply how a writer or how a speaker informs, persuades, or motivates an audience. And we're going to talk about, as we write in our essays or perhaps in our forums, of what we want to keep in mind in terms of the audience. And secondly, we're going to talk about specific ways to find a topic, which is really a good challenge for us, and that for a number of students that struggle with how to find a really good topic. Next, we're going to talk about the role that your interest and your passion have to do when it comes to choosing a topic for an essay, whether it's a narrative essay or if it's an informative essay, that your interest and your passion makes a difference. Fourth, we're going to talk about brainstorming ideas, ways that you can think about a topic and sort of mind map or cluster ideas that'll help you find a good topic. And then lastly, which is probably the one that in my 10 years of teaching here at Bethel and writing, that I see so common is when students hit what's called a writer's block. And I'm going to walk through a few hints and tips to get through that. So let's begin with the first one, understanding your audience and the purpose of your writing. That when it comes to writing, you need to understand who is your audience. Is it the professor? Is it your classmates? That makes a big difference as you write and as you choose that topic. And then secondly is thinking about, in particular, the purpose of your writing. So as you look at potential topics, what is the assignment that you're being asked to do? Is it more of an informal assignment, or is it a formal assignment? Is it a 3 to 4 page essay? Choosing your topic based on the kind of assignment makes a big difference. And for example, for me, I'm working on my doctorate right now, and I continually go back to what is the assignment I'm being asked to do. And sometimes we just kind of glance over and we think we know it by rote, when actually we don't. Next, these are really good ways to find a topic. The internet, for example, very obvious, whether it's a Google search or perhaps it's Wikipedia. Of course, if you're doing research, you can't use that as a source when it comes to Wikipedia, but I find that when it comes to Google or Wikipedia, that those are springboards on finding a good topic. But make sure that you keep it broad enough as you're sort of navigating and sort of looking at potential good topics, that you keep it broad enough. So for example, you don't want to do a Wikipedia search on Jackie Robinson crossing the color barrier when it comes to Major League Baseball, and then the impact on other Major League Baseball teams in the 1940s. That's way too specific. You may simply want to put Jackie Robinson or Jackie Robinson crossing over the color barrier. So try to keep it broad. Also on the internet too, in the last handful of years, blogs are becoming a lot more reliable and great sources to kind of pique your interest on topics. I find that I do that quite often in looking at, or perhaps a podcast too. Next, look at issues or challenges in your vocational setting. Maybe there's something happening on a team that you're a part of at your workplace, and you're working through something that you find as a very interesting topic, and perhaps in your business class or perhaps in your Christian ministries class, what have you, that might be a good topic for you to write on. So kind of what I say, keep your antenna up. As you're working, we come across a plethora of topics and ideas that might really work for an essay. Also, what I find too is discussing with friends and family, coworkers on a good topic. Oftentimes I find myself almost, for my friends, probably too much, where I'm bouncing ideas off them as I'm working on an essay and writing something, that I'll throw ideas at them. And what I find is that those ideas or potential topics become a lot better. They become a lot more refined. And just a quick note, Albert Einstein, in a book I read from Walter Isaacson, the 10 years that he worked on the general theory of relativity, almost every day for 10 years, he bounced ideas and thoughts off his friends, and they helped him really develop that theory. So it wasn't done in a vacuum. This is a great resource, friends and family and coworkers. Also, what's trending on social media? What's trending on Twitter, Facebook? Instagram. Those might be topics that you find very interesting for an essay that you're being asked to do in one of your classes. Next, peruse a newspaper for topics of interest. I do this on a regular basis, whether it's the Minneapolis Star and Tribune, whether it's the New York Times, Washington Post, articles that I read, and all of a sudden the topic that I may have to write on relates directly and sometimes indirectly to what I'm writing, but all of a sudden an idea comes into mind. Also, do you have a family member that maybe has an health issue, or maybe they have something happen in their workplace? That's something that you want to write about, a topic, for example. One student of mine wanted to learn more about autism. They didn't have an autistic child, but for their 4-page essay they had to do, they had some really good friends who had an autistic child, and they did some work on that, and it was actually an issue among their friends that they found very interesting. Next, the role that your interest and passion about a topic plays makes a big difference, especially if you're being asked to write a longer essay. In some of our classes, you might be asked to do a 7 to 8 page essay, and you need to have interest and passion in that topic. Otherwise, it's going to be tough sledding. You're going to lose patience. You're going to be frustrated. And what I find among students that have interest and or passion in a topic, what it actually does, not only does it keep them in the game of writing, for example, but also it sort of galvanizes them and energizes them as they write on a given topic. Brainstorming ideas. And this is something that we have in our library. I absolutely love this. It's called mind mapping. And you can create this. So right here would be, let's say you're going to write on a certain topic. Maybe it's autism, and you put autism in here, and all of a sudden you could go off in a few different other directions based on that. And there's actually a tutorial in our library how to use this, but on a computer it keeps it nice and organized, as you can tell by color, so you don't get overwhelmed by the topics that are listed there. So in addition to doing mind mapping on a computer, if you're like me, I like to actually write it down on a piece of paper or oftentimes on a whiteboard, and we're going to take a look at how to do that. Well, in addition to the mind mapping that we saw, which you can find in a variety of sources, laptops, tablets, iPhones, Androids, a number of places that you can use that. But maybe that's not for you. Maybe it's something that you actually want to take a pencil or a pen and actually write it out, and that's something that I do, or a marker on a whiteboard. And maybe the topic that I'm looking at is something related to my childhood. Just a nice, broad, general topic. And as I think about finding a good topic, maybe for me, it's thinking about my childhood from grades 1 through 7. I lived on a small farm in rural Wisconsin. And a number of events happened there. And one of the things that I had to do, obviously, living on a farm, were chores. And because of chores, I developed a pretty strong work ethic that has stayed with me to this day. And maybe it's something right in here that I find as a potential good topic, and I could keep branching out from here as well. Or maybe it's, as I think about my childhood, something that was very special to me. I loved sports, and I played on a football team during elementary school. And on that football team, became really good friends with a couple of guys named Joe and Dan. And maybe it's something in my childhood with Joe and Dan that I want to investigate or perhaps delve into more. And then something else that I did as well in my childhood is that I did a lot of camping. And camping was something that was pretty important to me and my family. Spent a lot of time doing that, also with friends. And some of the camping trips I can remember, we had storms, we had rain. A lot of times we were scrambling for cover. Other times we had these idyllic areas of fishing and memories right there. And that might be something that I could look at as a potential topic for an entire essay that I'm being assigned to. But whatever that is, maybe this is something that you like doing just with your own pen or pencil or a marker board, somewhat similar to this, that you begin looking at topics that branch out from one general one. Next, when choosing a good topic, sometimes you'll come across the sort of the challenge or the chasm of a writer's block. What do you do with writer's block? And in my teaching with students, what I have them do is a few different things. First of all, you want to get words down on paper, free write. And it might be on your topic, or it might be just simply talking about the weather. You may talk about your cat. You may talk about the restaurant you're going to that weekend. And then at some point you go back to your topic again. The point is you want to keep writing, keep the flow, keep the momentum going, and don't stop, if I can encourage you, to correct any kind of punctuation or any kind of grammar. We actually found in studies that better writers don't go back and try to stop, they don't stop to correct grammar or punctuation. They want to keep it going, getting words down on paper, because any words that you have on paper is progress, because you actually started with a blank sheet of paper. So that's a great way, is simply free writing. And as I said, don't stop for punctuation. Next is something we call cubing. If you can sort of envision a Rubik's Cube, is first of all taking your topic and looking at what are the key points or issues. And then as you identify that, kind of like in a way with a Rubik's Cube, twist it and sort of analyze that. Describe them, and try to describe them in full sentences, and really get down to a granular amount where it's really specific. And then lastly is really analyze that and apply it. As you do that, you'll actually find out that you have more on your topic than you even realized. And then lastly, I would say, even if you're able to simply write 1 or 2 paragraphs when it comes to a topic, that's success. I think that for as you look at choosing a topic, the fact that you are able to get some words on paper, as I mentioned, you need to celebrate that. Writing is not easy. It's hard for some of us. And to understand that celebrating that is very important. And when I was a freshman at the University of Minnesota, I was a very poor English student, which is actually ironic that I'm teaching this class right now. But what I found, though, is that with tutors, which we have here at Bethel, and also some caring professors, I was able to learn how to write correctly and how to write with my own kind of voice. And we took baby steps in doing that. And a verse that really helped me during that time, that I would say over and over as I was learning how to write, is from the New Testament book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 13. Through Christ Jesus, I can do all things. And that's something that I've carried with me to this day. So celebrate any point in your writing where you're able to choose a topic and get words on paper.